Everybody, we are back at the Crescent City Cup for round two. My name is Conrad, or CBB, and I am now officially joined by Mr. Jesse Day, who's going to help us talk through this game between Dave Wiegand and Chris Lipe. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going good. Yes, I am not just a figment of Conrad's imagination.
Were you listening into the stream on your way over? Because I said that exact line.
I had a feeling this bodes well for our partnership.
Yes, yes, yes. I am always excited to watch a game between Chris and Dave, two of the American, or dare I say, world Scrabble greats. Chris having formerly been a runner-up some time ago.
That's right.
Dave has probably a bit of a monkey on the back in terms of the world championship. I would say probably the best player by far, or one of the best players to not ever win a world championship.
Has he made it to a final?
I don't even know if he's made it to a final.
I knocked him out of the final in Goa.
Ooh, why would you do that? I know there's the tag year game. Okay, I'm not gonna rehash all of Dave's. For those who don't know, Dave and I actually live on the same street in Portland, Oregon, so I'm the lucky one because I get to play Scrabble with him whenever I want. I think we're gonna get started here pretty soon. Again, this is round two. We're doing Colin's Scrabble words this morning, and this afternoon we will be doing wow. And that's just how it's gonna be. It's how it's gonna be tomorrow as well, and on Monday for the final four games. We'll see where the tournament's at. We'll only give you the best games. Anyway, it looks like Chris Lipe is going to start us off, and his clock has started. Let's see what he's gonna start with.
I see the alternative lexicons as kind of like variants in poker or something.
Yeah.
I feel like the North American lexicon is different enough from the world one that it actually materially impacts strategy. So that's, although I mostly play the world lexicon, that's how I make the North American lexicon games interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I mean we can chat about this throughout the weekend. I have some thoughts about like how we could productively leverage that fact, and how in terms of how other like nerdy esports do it. But what would you play if you were Lipe here with this quite wonderful set of letters?
Well, the key ingredient here, I frame a lot of my commentary in terms of what would I do as a player learning to be good. And the main thing, when you have a ton of options here, once you're good enough that you can find 7-letter words here, so you want to find bingos that use all your tiles, get that 50-point bonus. There's probably 100 different bingos here, right? So the key thing is actually just to play something quickly, because you could spend 6 minutes trying to find the absolute perfect placement of every tile, every letter. And that is just not a good use of 6 minutes. You just want to get something down fast. Even spending over a minute here is maybe slightly less than ideal.
And I think Chris has actually proved that point, because I'm not sure if nominal is necessarily the best play for the number one top expert, but he used less than a minute and a half.
Right. When you do have that embarrassment of riches and you can make the blank anything, a simple rule of thumb is make it the same as one of the other letters you already have to decrease the possibility of your opponent responding with an 8-letter bingo. Of course, in this case, it would not have happened because Dave immediately plays labor right, and he can play these in his sleep. These are very high probability letters. These are the first things you study on your path to expertdom.
Yeah.
And Dave has probably known labor rate from the first month that he started learning how to play a Scrabble, and he hammers it down in 31 seconds.
Yeah, since probably honestly either of our parents were in labor with okay, I'm sorry. But hey, we have a nice open board. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Last game was closed and everyone had terrible racks. Well, okay, now the racks suck, but
I thought that's what you enjoyed as a player.
I enjoyed that in wow, but I do not enjoy that as much in Collins. To your point, it's a little more tedious.
So the game kind of begins here where the player doesn't have an autopilot bingo. And at this point in the game, I usually think of this as a race to the next bingo. Each side had an early blow, and it's going to be about who can turn their rack into the next bingoing play. And Chris elects to do that with calf for 24 points. And he leaves a pretty reasonable combo of 5 letters, especially with all those open letters on the board. Good chance of bingo going down.
Yeah. Kind of sets himself up with the S to hook nominal. Pretty good leave for that open R, Laborite, 2 open I's, and it's all the complementary letters are open right now. Literally RITNOM. I mean, that's perfect.
Meanwhile, Dave has a bit more of an uphill battle simply because his tiles are worse. He has a triple I. He has the J, and he might be able to score, but he has to somehow score and play some vowels.
Yeah. He does have that open B is looking pretty convenient for this rack. But
That's right. I sense bijou,
yeah.
one of the thousands of French words that have made it into our lexicon.
Yeah. And this is an interesting, probably a learning moment for folks who are newer. He could play, Jut or whatever up on top for 41, which it looks like he's going to do. Keeping I-I-I-O. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and, simulate this for folks, but
I can't say I saw that one coming. This is
Yeah.
our first surprise of the matchup.
yeah, Bijou sims better according to the Quackle engine by a significant amount.
Gets the 4th eye, but a Z, which
yeah.
might allow him to forge on in
Yeah.
spite of his quadruplication.
Yeah, I think it's worth the point sacrifice. Again, there are so many good open letters that IIT could actually matriculate into something pretty good. Anyway, it is what it is.
Right. I almost feel like Dave might have rushed that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I don't think he took the time to identify Bijou, and it would have helped him considerably.
Yeah, and I can tell you that Dave was not. He went to bed reasonably sober last night. There were no crazy antics. We just played some So Clover in the lobby, and then eventually called it a night.
Only in New Orleans is this part of the scouting report.
Right. No, for sure. We're all too old and decrepit now to do anything too crazy. This would be a hard rack for me in Chris's positioning. So it just seems like there should be something. There's not, spoiler alert, but like
upscape, icescape,
upspace,
pump sauce, sauce pump.
Pump sauce is amazing.
Like pumpkin sauce,
yeah.
pump sauce,
or it's just like it's you're working out. Get the pump sauce going.
I think I'm gonna start using that.
I love it. Or I mean, just pump spade. I don't know, but no, that would be 3 Ps. Anyway, pump sauce is amazing. It's unfortunately not a word, in case you were wondering. But yeah, sauce pump. I mean, a sauce pump to Wanderer's point, like the dispensers. That's literally a sauce pump.
That's how I see it. But well, the lexicon disagreeing with me. I think the trouble here is you can make a short play. You could just play off the 2 letters you just drew, actually, and play FAP and PA and BA. But you also have to consider scoring options like double doubles through the TI, which could score enough, especially having CPP, that they're actually worth not really keeping a bingo prone leave simply because you can score 50 now. So he has a lot to consider here.
Yeah. And if he does play, which it wouldn't surprise me if something like PAP or something PAP came down from next to FA, all of a sudden there aren't as many letters to play through anymore.
Right.
So the keeping the U becomes more of a liability, etc. Hello, Noah. How's it going? Say hi to Blue Felly every time he says hi. But yeah, I mean, Hap is pretty good, saving the C to hook it next time.
Unfortunately, we can't play retired Brazilian soccer players because then you could do Cafu and Hub. But yeah, locking in a little more here. Right. If you play PAP, you're actually blocking the O, you're blocking the R.
Yeah.
And the board itself looks quite blocky.
Yeah.
And
he's still down about, one turn. Can't make too many inferences based on Jut. But I mean, as we know, Dave is sitting on 4 eyes. But and a nice thing about playing PAP is that in the case where Dave did have one of the big letters, you cannot add an X or a J, or the J's out, or a Z.
But one thing about PAP is it does block nominals, the S hook, and he does have the S. So I wonder if you could consider something like pup or pupa here on the left side of labor right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Jesse's, it turns
I
out,
can acknowledge that on chat.
yeah,
That's new in
yeah.
CSW 24, isn't it?
Yeah. So some of you might know Jesse and I, once upon a time, were two of the top players. We don't play as much anymore, and so certain words like FAP are now perhaps a verb and not an adjective. So as it turns out, it's probably okay if he did open the hook. That said, it looks like pup has come down instead.
And pup still makes a lot of sense. Keeping the A instead of the U is a massive improvement.
Yeah.
To the point that I think it might just be the superior play. It does keep that nominals hook.
Yeah.
And also there's stealthy bingos that could go down hooking pup.
Yeah.
It's kind of a keeps things open in a disguised manner. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. A quick sim suggests that pup is in fact the correct play, most closely followed by adding the A on it to make pupa, which, similar idea. So makes sense.
My general rule of hook almost all the time is unless you're trying to keep a lead, in general, I always think you should just not play the hook immediately and keep the hook letter. That's just my default rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Born out from years of analyzing plays, but that's another simple rule of thumb is keep the hook letter.
Yeah.
If you have it, it could really pay off.
Yeah. Especially like the fewer of that letter, like a D, for example. Like there's only 4 Ds. If something is a verb and you can add a D on the end of it, like chances are there's only max 3 Ds left.
Right. So here, Dave can again just do almost exactly what he just did. Score the 30 plus with Z. He could play Biz. He could play Tiz, but it will come with the burden of many vowels.
He does have a spelled out Geo, which plays next to FA. He could just play GI and try to set up Z. Unfortunately, Geo does not do that as effectively, but
I like GI a lot. That seems Nigel-esque to me. Of course, so setup plays are when you make a smaller play to score a lot of points next turn. I actually just think his opportunities are so dire if he doesn't do that I would strongly consider GI. Even if it seems transparent, Chris might have other things to do, such as score points elsewhere on the board, bingo. In fact, if GI goes down right now, Chris can barely play at that spot at all. It would be a massive sacrifice. So I think he should do that. He has it lined out. So this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it would be cool. And yeah, it could force, Chris to play off some of his good letters. Like he may need to burn the S, for example, which from Dave's perspective, still holding a small lead makes a lot of sense. Hello, Chrysalis. Welcome.
Yeah, if there's anything, so Nigel Richards, Scrabble God, that many of you are familiar with, if there's anything I've gotten from large-scale analysis of Nigel games, it's that none of the rest of us are making enough setup plays.
Yeah.
I think it's worth trying right now. I think he's going to do it too.
Yeah. And we heard from Jello Mocha's most likely what happens is Capotes gets played through it. I mean, like in a vacuum, and then immediately Dave has the Z. So there, or ZE. So there it is. G comes down. I'm excited. Interested to see what Chris does with this. And a little hello to Bezizzle, who says hello from our cats as well.
Capotes is interesting, but EY is not a stellar lead. I think that an autopilot play here might be AYE under nominal, potentially, which would be 34 points, leaving CEST. I guess Capotes would be 48 points, so it'd be 14 more points, but keeping EY instead of CEST.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how Chris adjusts here. He's as we talked about at the very beginning, a long time seasoned expert, experienced at the highest level. He just plays YE here. Sometimes a good response to a setup can be just to kind of set yourself up in return. And that's
Yeah.
sort of what Chris is doing here, just by keeping really strong letters after Dave does whatever mischief he's about to do.
Yeah, I mean, really, the genius of it is that if Dave plays BIZ
Right.
and Chris has kept ACEST, Biz takes the E on the end, and so the odds of Chris playing for like 100 something points next turn are pretty good. And I didn't speak too soon for once. I did not jinx him.
That was excellent dramatic timing, Conrad.
Because unfortunately, Dave can only play ZO. He would love to have played an I there for many reasons, not the least of which takes fewer of those hooks.
Really nice sequence here.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. I feel like I would have probably tried to like immediately address the spot, but also maybe would have eventually come to the same conclusion that Chris has correctly come to as scatter comes down and
For 105 points, just a really slick way of handling that setup is saying, actually, your setup is setting me up.
Yeah, easily Chris benefited more from it because I mean, look at Dave's letters are somehow worse.
This looks like one of those racks you post about on social media to indicate how bad you're drawing.
Yeah.
And Dave just immediately dispatches all of them.
Yeah, I don't blame him, to be honest.
You wouldn't keep a D there?
I feel like I probably would, but like
it's pretty marginal. The important thing is to get it done fast.
Yeah. I honestly, I think the biggest reason to keep a D there is the odds of making a play, a 5-letter play from the T on scatter, slotting that D in the middle right spot for comeback bingos feels pretty good to me. That's probably my biggest reason. Can kind of bail you out of a lot of bad draws.
Yeah, it is dynamically interesting that Dave is going to be down about a bingo probably after Chris's next turn. And so, right, he's going to have to switch to a mode where he tries to keep things, tries to keep the board open for bingos or high scoring plays.
Yeah.
So that keeping the D there could have been one way of enabling that. Although Dave is not going to need a whole lot of help here because you see that he's drawn the other blank and pretty much guarantees he will bingo. In the meantime, on Chris's side, I think of this as a standard post bingo rack.
Yeah.
There are some decent building blocks here. You have A, E, L, and you have some high scoring tiles. And the goal here is score points for a turn or two and get to the next bingo. It's just kind of the marathon of bingo after bingo after bingo. And he can slot that H next to the T, perhaps. What else do you see him doing here?
I mean, I don't think he's up enough to really do anything crazy like board shutting or like you don't need to get cute here. Dave knows how to come back. So I think he kind of just, full seems pretty solid. Obviously, we know he's going to get hit by it, but there's already an open E down at the bottom. So
that was happening no matter what.
Yeah.
Thul seems pretty reasonable. The only thing you don't love, it's at least semi-balanced in that it keeps 2 vowels and 1 consonant. Probably 2 consonants and 1 vowel is the typical Platonic ideal. Playing off your E is not great, but looking at how many E's have been played, there's still 8 more remaining. So
yeah. Well, we'll see if there are any good 9s through the TI. We know that if there's a 9, Dave is going to be the one to find it.
Yeah, the completeness of Dave Wiegand's word knowledge is frightening.
It's an experience to behold, genuinely.
The first time I ever saw Dave Wiegand was 2005, Reno, Nevada. There was an anagrams championship that happened the night before the actual tournament.
Yep.
And basically my introduction to high level Scrabble was watching Dave Wiegand lay waste, who I'd never heard of actually, because he wasn't in Word Freak, but it was just watching him demolish a field of consisting entirely of experts in this anagram tournament. It was pretty awesome. And then he won the championship after that for good measure.
Yeah. That was the one where the words were like percolations, I remember, showed up in that, and necropolis. Actually, my first time meeting Dave, was only 3 months prior at a tournament in Seattle. And I did, in fact, meet him by sitting down to play anagrams with a bunch of experts, and I was terrified. I was also an expert, but still terrified. And the first thing Dave Wiegand ever said to me was, I was so scared. Wadmels was there, and I found Meadowlands, and I was Meadowlands. And Dave's like, "Can you speak louder?" And if you all know Dave, he's a very 99% of the time is a very quiet voice. So that one's stuck with me forever.
But it speaks to what's awesome about our community that I know things have moved digitally in a lot of ways, but it's still pretty amazing that you can just show up at these tournaments, sit down with an expert, and people are kind enough with their time that they'll
Yeah.
just whatever you want to ask them about, or
Yeah.
you want to play anagrams, you want to play a blitz game. People more often than not will just say, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah, why not? Why not?
So, what 9-letter words do you see here? I see inserting and
inserting.
yen.
That's all I
That's you would love in this case when you have a good rack. One of the things you learn to do as you reach expertdom is to make the absolute most out of it, which is why Dave has spent so much time on this. And a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll just find the theoretical maximum and then
Yeah.
work my way down. So
Yep.
here, the theoretical maximum is a bingo through the TI of Judd and nominal that hits both the double word scores. And so I would probably spend about 30 to 60 seconds trying to find whatever I can. And I'll literally just go through I'll make the blank one letter at a time, just alphabetically. Like A, do I have anything with an A? Do I have anything with a B, with a C? And it seems impossibly laborious, but as you get better with this, you'll kind of learn to just kind of cycle through the options. And then once I've looked at that spot, I'll look at the next best one and then tally everything up at some point. And then at that point, I'll realize I have 3 minutes left on my clock and I've made a terrible mistake. But you kind of learn how to abbreviate the process.
But that's the thing with Dave is he's so efficient at iterating through racks, especially with the blank tile. Like he can do it better than basically anybody not named Nigel. Um, and so to that point, I mean, it's a difference at the highest of levels. It's those little tiny things that really make the difference. It's what, is historically, set Dave apart from me. Would be more likely to, I would take the same approach as you, but I'm just more likely to like get lazy, or I just don't have as much experience like looking with blanks, etc. So to your point, I mean, it's those little things. I expect Dave to find the best play here, whatever that may end up being.
I mean, this is why the top players spend such a large fraction of their time grinding through word study and especially anagramming practice on
Yeah.
websites like our friend Cesar's aerolith.org, AEROLITH. The great thing about Aerolith is I log in there every day and do the blank bingos, and I
Yeah.
can see how Dave did. I
Yeah.
can see.
I really should do that. I really have no excuse.
Yeah, it's hard. That's the reason. The main
Yeah.
reason I see people not do it is because they do it and they say, "Well, this is painful."
Yeah.
And yeah, it is. You just have to find that right challenging threshold of this is hard, but I can feel myself improve and
Yeah.
it's not outlandishly difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, Aerolith is one of the great places you can
Yeah.
do that.
And also, I mean, Chris Lipe, in terms of places where you can do stuff like this, he
Yeah.
felt so strongly he built his own platform, Xerafen, which again, his own approach to sort of efficient studying. And so over time, Dave looked through tons of stuff. He eventually played something.
Yeah, that's actually a great point that we're watching. Like literally, Chris is so integral to the Scrabble community. He's been the president of the World Organization,
Yeah.
and he single-handedly built one of the main word study programs, Xerafin, which starts with an X, so Xerafin, which I believe is free.
Yeah.
It just speaks to what a cool community we have where people contribute this awesome stuff for free. And yeah,
Yeah.
Chris in particular.
Yeah. No, I mean, for sure. I mean, if those of you familiar with, I'll throw it out there. If you're familiar with Woogles, was something that Jesse and I created alongside Cesar, and I call me Lola, who's in the chat, and Josh, who you saw in round one. It's that same idea of just like I don't know. It's fun to like do cool things to give back to the community. Like to me, it's like as fun, if not more fun than playing. It's just like giving people that access. I don't know. It's super cool.
Yeah, that's what makes our community special.
Yeah.
So with that patting of the back side, let's lock in.
Yeah.
We had a little hiatus there. And yeah, it's going to be super competitive down the stretch here.
Yeah.
We're kind of back in the same place where both players have promising but less than ideal racks with immediate problems. Chris here needs to get through some of these high point tiles and score and try to get to another bingo. Dave has to come up with a plan for the queue where there's
Oof.
not a ton of appetizing spots. There are 2 U's left in the pool, but he's gonna have to make a choice between just dumping the queue or trying to score. And on Chris's side, what do you see here? What do you think he might consider?
I mean, again, he's only up 10, so there's no really defense to be played, as it were. Wab on the left side does something.
Wab.
It's kind of sad.
Where is a vow? What does he think? He's thinking about a vower here. One
Yeah,
interesting
hours reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, 28. BS is kind of not a great starting point. I mean, one interesting dynamic here is the blanks are both gone. And that usually means that if you want to bingo again, you have to be more territorial with your good letters
Yeah.
because you don't have the prospect of a blank coming in and just kind of solving all your problems. You have to build a little more intentionally.
Yeah. The nice thing about Avowr, there's, what, 6 E's left, a bunch of R's. I mean, like, the pool is actually pretty good, despite there being no blanks and only
Mhm.
one remaining S.
Well, Valor does set up quite a few points if it goes down. So we're talking about Valor on the second to last row there to the R. If it does go down, I do see a lot of potential scoring overlaps because you're going to have a W under a double word
Yeah.
score, and you might just get back. You might just get zapped for a lot of points.
Yeah. No, it's entirely. I mean, it's definitely the
downside of that
the
one.
downside
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I think he'll probably kind of get away with it in this case. I mean, Dave
Yes.
has high leg if there's a good spot for it. It's a ridiculous word.
High leg is a fun one because it's the unexpected back hook on
Yeah.
Hyle, Hyle, which is also a word. I feel like I probably won a game or two, but with the unexpected high leg.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very appetizing, actually.
Unexpected high leg.
Oh.
You'd love to see it. I don't think there's a really good spot for it, unfortunately. Dave does have, I guess, one interesting thing here. I believe Scattery is probably good.
Yes.
Scattery Sightcaster.
Very nice.
There's no no plays that give you even a vaguely palatable leave of tiles on your rack, but Lear does score like 40. I don't know. Maybe.
Right. He could do Zoll
Yeah.
and Liar. Or I was almost looking if you could go left through
Yeah,
the UR and
that would
make
be cool.
demurely or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think he will do that partially to block the scoring plays we talked about happening over Avowr, which with the board tightening up a bit, I think that scoring spot looks pretty risky. So I think
But he does have
no.
GHYLL. Probably sim that one. I mean, they do seem
Very
like very
interesting.
very reasonable. Like, I understand him wanting to keep a more balanced leave. Maybe he didn't see the hook. I don't know.
He could be blocking, trying to block a bit, block the O, I guess. I mean, the E is still open at the bottom for bingos.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting one. And he didn't get rid of the Q, right? That was the other thing.
Yeah.
Do you prefer Gil over just playing QI and dumping the Q? I think I would take the opportunity to get rid of that for such a low score.
Yeah.
I would probably just have played off the Q there.
If you're committed, yeah.
Because Liar at least would get you 40-ish points, so you could still draw the U.
Yeah. And it's not close in the sim. Liar's
like
the
Slayer.
clear winner. Yeah.
But the sim doesn't like playing the Q off, which is interesting because that would be tempting to me. But
Yeah.
that's an interesting. It's always something to learn. I think kind of like Aerolith. I think sometimes people avoid analyzing because they don't want to feel bad about making mistakes. It's just all about kind of framing it as a learning process. Like we have a ton to learn.
Yeah.
Everyone who plays
It's
this game is a ton to
hard.
learn. Right. Yeah, you kind of have to be in the right mindset to benefit from it, as opposed to just browbeating yourself for not finding all the 13 letter bingos that you miss.
Yeah. And I've definitely been in both phases in my life, and definitely prefer to be in the more generous.
Yeah,
state.
constructive as
Yeah.
opposed to destructive for sure.
Yeah.
I think QI is going to go down here because while drawing the eye means that playing off the Q at least scores 13 more points than it would have last turn. So, oh yeah, there we go. Cat and Pupa, good. He hasn't lost sight of the hook. That's 40 points. That's actually really nice. So that's actually, I think, a reason right there to keep the Q last turn.
Yeah.
That you can draw into that cat.
Yep.
Pupa play, and playing for 11 is just really unnecessary when you got to wait one turn and play for 40. So well done, Dave.
Yeah. Interesting, like, the ISE that could go into that spot now, or ILE. It's not likely.
Fancy.
From our perspective now, Chris has the 2 remaining S's, which they're not that great on this board, but they're also just good letters in general.
Right. Actually, that's that could be a really stealthy opportunity for Chris to hold on to. And he could even, I mean, he has the whole rest of the game to try to hit that, right?
Yeah.
He could just gradually fish his way into trying to draw an ISE bingo, making QI pupas. And if he achieves that, that's 100 points. It's almost like a guaranteed win. So
Pretty much.
it's almost, if you don't have to sacrifice too much, why not just try to work towards that?
Yeah. Yep.
He did play off the I here. There's 4 more I's though, so the
Yeah.
key thing is keeping the S. He
Yeah.
played that pretty fast. I guess he's quite low on time.
Yeah,
I'm also
some time. I don't
slow,
know.
so that could be part of it. I think this
Surprised he
game,
played that fast, honestly.
I think time pressure is going to be big here because they're both getting low-ish, and it looks like the board is going to end up getting pretty constricted.
I think right here, especially, I think Dave's gonna kind of put the nail in the coffin for the board.
Right. What do you see him doing here?
Probably retired. He's got the double.
Right. Making YAR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this ought to be a, if nothing else, interesting endgame. Ooh,
Chris drawing an outstanding rack. In fact, if retired does go down, it's going to block the S, and Chris has danseurs.
yeah.
So that puts a huge onus on Dave. Retired is the kind of play I expect him to play essentially in his sleep, but there's a huge incentive for him to find that, because if danseurs goes down, then Chris is going to be in a commanding spot.
Yeah, and it's close enough where he can afford to, like, just play evenly. Kate, who you heard from last game, notes in the chat the Joyride or Joy Road, which actually Dave now has spelled out on his rack with a much better leave.
Right. He may even think that he has a good chance to go into
Exactly.
the S because he has EIR. I mean,
Exactly.
great letters, right?
So it's a question of if Dave, how far behind he really thinks he is, because retired does leave OI, which actually in this tile pool is actually quite a good leave, all things considered. Because there are 4 E's and 3 I's unseen. Actually, the
Only 1 O left.
the Joy Road leave is actually pretty, EIR is actually pretty marginal here. So he'll certainly look for that, and you can see him now, I think
he's got retired
spelling out.
Could also do Joyride and try to set up the R hook, although that's
Yeah.
unlikely to be super lucrative. But yeah, for Joyride,
Yeah.
Joyride is really pretty creative. The fact that he's looking at that at all is pretty nice.
I think that's one of those words, like, whenever Joy is there, I'm always like, oh, am I gonna get Joyride? It's just like, it just shows up. I don't know.
He also has Road and Owo.
Oh.
If things are, Owo is another internet slang that's made it into our lexicon. And if there were a lot of consonants in the pool, you could keep EEIR and try to draw some consonants. I don't think that's really what the pool looks like. It looks pretty balanced between vowels and consonants, but at least an option worth considering. A lot to consider in this play.
Yeah. This is an example where like I probably wouldn't read too much into at least a Quackle level simulation. It likes Joy Road most, doesn't like Retired as much, but maybe if you look more plays ahead, various things why you might not read as much into the decision here.
The nutshell for why a pure sim might be wrong here is just if you think you need to bingo again, which you probably do because he's 34 points down. So Joy Road sets that up perfectly, keeps bingo letters, keeps the S open to bingo too. You want to keep the thread open. It's just the misfortune that in this particular universe, Chris has the bingo waiting to go.
Yeah, and you can also make a pretty reasonable inference that Chris played Ahis really fast.
Probably has an S.
Probably has an S and probably had a pretty good, probably had ES or something. So he is going to play Retired.
Really nice. I think Ahis might have telegraphed a bit to Dave that
I think
Chris was close to a bingo. That's a really nice move.
Yeah.
Opting out of, he really showed his expert in there. Burn a lot of time. Like this is going to get very tense down the stretch here, but well worth spending the time there to get it right.
And one thing, so Dave Wiegand is like stellar at endgames. Not as a slight against Chris, but I would say Dave has the advantage in a vacuum of just getting an endgame right.
Certainly not on my short list of people I want to play an endgame with if I can avoid it.
No. So this is pretty cool. Dave did not pick up an E to go with his X. That could have been a real smackdown there.
Right. Yeah, actually that was a risk of Retired that that Chris could have snapped back with an immediate 50-point X play. So just a ton of different dimensions to consider on that last move. And Dave can score a ton of points immediately with that oboe hook over a bower again. Yeah. So Chris is actually in real trouble here. He has to really. I think the key here is probably going to be to not fixate on bingoing again because he needs to recognize that the board has gotten tight.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he can burn the S on this turn and do something with scatters across and maybe even like a Zoa as scatters. The problem is I don't see any brilliant plays that do that, but that's your race. No, that doesn't. No.
Yeah. Basically, the point being, like, he doesn't really need to rush. He doesn't need to, like, the game is effectively even. He has good letters.
Right.
Now, from his perspective, the tile pool's not looking that good. The X is the main threat.
Right.
He really just wants to keep scoring and kind of minimize the spots that Dave has to score.
From his perspective, could Retired look like an X setup? That's very much the kind of play I would make if I had the X and I didn't. But you would think he would have kept an E if he could get away with it. But
yeah, there's still three more E's unseen. You certainly have to think about it. Like it's entirely possible.
Right, I'd be quite nervous. Another completely different way he could go with this is to get very fishy. And just say that, well, Dave, you reset your rack and I am close to a bingo. And maybe he says, my advantage is I am almost sure to bingo first. The question is, what if that's the route he decides to do, then how does he achieve it? He could do unretired.
Yeah.
And open you put the UN in front for 10 points, leaving dares. It's not horrible. Seems drastic.
It seems a little drastic at this point, just in that he doesn't necessarily, again, like Chris himself is close to Joyride, right? Like there are 4 I's and 2 O's unseen. And given that, if Chris notices that, he notices that Dave played RED, well, maybe Chris starts wondering, well, did he not have an I or an O? Can get pretty meta here, but there's something to be said for that could be a really good play for Chris.
This
down
is
the
really
road.
interesting. So he's
Yeah.
blocking that X, just like we talked about.
Yeah.
Red retired as an X setup, sets up the S
The
because
setup is S, which is smart.
right, sned means to cut, I think. But he had to burn an E to do it. ARSU is not an ideal leave, and Dave
Yeah.
is just going to score right now and keep the X. So this is going to get. I think Chris is in a bit of trouble here. Dave, I could see him just playing Dote and Owo. I mean, it's conceivable he could miss Owo, maybe because it's just so weird looking. Maybe I haven't seen him line it up yet.
He had outdo spelled out or outdocs to surpass in
Oh
one thing.
no!
I feel like we outdocs on Scrabble streams more than most other.
Oh no!
No, it looks like Dote is gonna
Yeah,
come
it's
down pretty quickly. It's possible he didn't see it. I mean, I know since for folks new to the game, OO was only added last year, so it's when you've played a game for so long and you're used to these shorter words, it takes a while to know to naturally look for this stuff. Anyway,
Chris immediately responds with Bagi for 31, which is something. I regret starting that sentence. I was going to say it's something anatomical, but not what you think it is. Anyway, let's just move on from that.
yeah,
And that's a good move. It keeps the S, keeps an R. He needs some good letters to complete, but he retains the possibility of drawing a bingo, hook, and sned that could just secure him the win on the spot. So Vagi, good scoring. Vagi?
vagi, like the vagus nerve,
Vegas?
vagus nerve,
Vegas.
vagus,
Have I
Must be
been,
vaga. I never really thought about
have I
that.
been pronouncing that wrong? Anyway,
Like I know how to pronounce the vagus nerve. Like what am I doing? I don't know. Anyway,
weird. So
so from Dave's perspective, though, I will say Ned being the play that was made, even over just Ed, Dave can pretty much assume Chris has the S at this point.
right, the counter inference.
Yeah. Dave also with Dote kept Knox on the left side because you're changed the available hooks on YE to YER. Now the O being an option. So I don't.
Right, he can play Knox and Oye.
Yeah.
Um,
Which then opens up
31.
a new lane of its own
Or
with an
30.
unseen F that I don't know. Who knows? Dave may just want to keep it simple and play EX. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, so we're entering what we call the pre-end game, where you have not perfect, but pretty good info about what your opponent might have on their rack. Dave just cashes the X for 40 points,
Yeah.
which makes good sense as an outrunning maneuver. But I will say ILNOU, pretty inflexible. Inflexible. I can't talk.
Pretty
inflexible.
Pretty inflexible. That's true.
He drew pretty well to that. He even has a bingo if the right letter is open, but it's not especially easy to score with those letters. So you almost want to be in Chris's spot here, where he has the F, the K, the S. He has the high point consonants. In fact, he has all of the remaining high point consonants, and he's going to maximize what he can get out of his high scoring consonants by just playing them one at a time. Pretty interesting there.
Yeah. Chat, Kate noticed Kumara is making KED through the UMEREAD. That scored probably like 40 something, I think. That could have been the game right there.
That's a lot of points. But tempo wise, I don't know if that's what you want to do, because comes close to emptying the bag, you get a random rack, you burn your S. I quite like this tick approach here, especially with the clock winding down. He's throwing the ball back in Dave's court. He's saying, hey, I can keep up on the score, and I'm going to keep dinking my high point tiles for 20, 25 each. Can you outrun me with your 1-pointers?
Yeah. He was down 30, so tick does keep him down 7. The Kumara's left 2 in the bag, so it's like pretty good end game timing.
Right, but this playing one tile at a time
Yeah.
lengthens things for your opponent too. So it's, I think Kumira's could have been a really great play, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
really
know.
like where he made it fast. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
He really, I mean, he had to play fast because
Right.
each of the players only has 3 minutes. But I think this is a really challenging spot for Dave here. I have no idea what to do.
Yeah. I mean, now we're kind of talking about earlier, what I'm seeing is that Dave's got that crucial L for pupil and he has an I. So I have to imagine if he sees that spot down below.
Right, lines up Lunation. He may also be scared of Sned still.
Yeah.
I think he's probably pretty aware of it. He may,
Yeah.
he takes the scoring point. Yeah, good play, Dave. He doesn't get distracted
Yeah.
by trying to block. And
Yeah.
he makes a big scoring play here. 26 points, really important with a 7-point margin before that, putting himself up 30.
And leaving one in the bag.
Yeah, that is that is really slick.
Yeah. And so, of course, there are the hooks for utile, but from his position, they're not a big deal, really. Interestingly, from Dave's perspective, Joyride is still the biggest threat, other than perhaps the actual bingo.
Joyriding is always a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Chris, I think I don't mind how he's approached this, but I think you're kind of seeing the after effect of playing Ned earlier and choosing this path where you're kind of maybe reliant on trying to draw a bingo, and he took kind of a low scoring route, relatively speaking, and he's at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even see what plan he can have here. For instance, he probably has to go out first. He may just have to fish for a bingo here, although it's not. For instance, if the positioning of Sned is slightly unideal because you can't end with the S, right?
Yeah.
He could fish the F and draw Durian's, Durians. That very
Sundari.
polarizing
Yeah.
fruit. Yes, Sundari would
Sundari
fit
would,
here.
yeah. I love durian for whatever it's worth. I don't even think it smells bad.
+1, delicious. I mean, playing the F for 13, he has it he has it in hand. He could also try to draw and, well, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I was going to say he could play a U and try to draw Frions.
Yeah.
I think he might. I mean, let's say he fishes the F for 13 here and he draws Sundari. What does Dave do? He doesn't have a lot of time either. It's not especially easy to block. I mean, Dave will, because the end of a Scrabble game is a game of perfect information. Dave will very likely know that he has Sundari, but being able to respond to that in 3 minutes is not simple.
Yeah.
So that could be the benefit of just slapping the F down fast, because other than the mean value of just a lone F like that, I just don't see how else he's going to win.
Well, I also wonder, does he have a good place to play off AUF or AUFS and literally fish for the outplay of Joyride or Joyrides?
Oh, very
and
cool.
Hope that Dave misses it. Anyway,
Futile has an anagram of fauteuil. So,
well, he plays frauds. I can't imagine that wins too much.
I don't know what the angle was.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I think he ran out of time. That's the angle.
That's the
he has 25 seconds
very
left.
very reasonable angle.
Then that's kind of the point of making some of these simpler plays faster. If you think about nominal going down in 30 seconds, saving a minute.
Yeah.
If he had an extra minute, I'm almost positive he would do something different than frauds there.
Yeah.
So that's, as a slow player, that is why you got to make your simple moves fast.
Yeah. I wonder if he could have played like AUF or something. I mean, obviously, like, futile is the best spot to drop AUF, but I just have to wonder if there was some, or even just like AUFS and SNED.
I like it. You don't know that your opponent has found Joyride.
Yeah.
I think that I actually really like that. You play AUFS, and he even would have drawn that, right? That's actually
That's what was there.
drawing Joyride as a 36-point
Yeah.
outplay is a really clever way of trying to steal the game. So
Yeah.
I kind of wish. Well, yeah, he just ran out of time, but I
Yeah.
think that would have been a really crafty way. Alf's is almost too suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, what is my opponent up to? But
Yeah.
what can Dave even? What could Dave have actually done about that? It's not super easy. We'd have to play something like Namina and Oye,
Yeah. I mean, as long as he
and then you
blocks it.
still give
Yeah.
up an out at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think as long as he blocks it, he's probably fine. But if he doesn't, he would lose. So it's kind of interesting.
right.
Yeah.
Whereas Dave is now actually just in a spread
A normal end
maximization
game. Yeah.
mode, and
Yeah.
you even with those two letters, he knows that his opponent is EI. He has already spotted the best place for the EI, and
Yeah.
he's just trying to get the absolute maximum of score minus the points left
Yeah.
on his rack.
And
A simple optimization exercise as opposed to the joyride scenario.
and for folks playing at home, according to Quackle, who I hope can solve this, that is not the best end game. In Fame, as was mentioned in chat, scoring a lot more.
Well done, chat member. You
Yeah.
get a brownie point.
Yep.
Even though you're probably using an engine.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Probably weren't. That's one of the best players in North America in our chat.
Are you gonna dox him? He's already doxed himself in his name.
Yes.
Jello.
Test your anagramming skills. Look at a list of top players in America, and then start anagramming away. And
Yeah.
you'll find several players in our chat, I suspect. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, the game is concluded, and it is a high-scoring encounter, speaking to the high quality of play on both sides. 500 to 481. Losing with a 481 is always a bit remarkable, but maybe less so when you're playing one of the North American grandmasters in
Yeah.
Dave Wiegand. No shame in Chris's performance. Put in the old college Brian. Had a lot of promising opportunities with the SNED, the setup,
Yeah.
blocking the X.
YE was a great play. I really loved that. Like just basically like letting Dave play the setup, knowing that it's basically setting you up even better. I liked that.
That's right. And there wasn't necessarily from that initial salvo on both sides, it was pretty flat. And I think you basically saw kind of a strategic contest down the stretch where Dave rightfully leaned into scoring and trying to minimize the number of possible bingos. Really retired was just a key moment there where it is a little bit random. I think he just as much could have played Joyride, Joy Road. I can't call those wrong plays, but I think Dave really read into AMIS at just the right moment, saw the bingo threat, and even you need a little bit of luck too, right? Because Chris didn't have the X there, and he very easily could have just scored with the X for 50 points. But I think Dave managed the risks really well there. And he didn't block Sned unnecessarily. He just took a scoring play that led him to a high win probability with Utah. So just really a masterclass.
Yeah. And I mean, and I say this with love and respect. Like a game where even Dave made a couple pretty clear mistakes means the game was really freaking hard.
Yeah.
I'm used to just Dave play like a machine, and the fact that you see things like GHYLL, stuff that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, this was a really meaty game. I think it would be well worth going back and analyzing.
Yeah.
Just a lot of difficult trade-offs had to be made there between keeping high point letters, removing high point letters, and it looks like we are going to wrap up there for a bit, switch to a different view.
Yeah.
So that was a great starter for me.
Yeah. We'll be back in a couple minutes, I think. Oh, look, we got us on camera. What's up, fam? How's it going? Good to see you with this cool little black background going on here. Yeah, I don't know. That was fun. I'm looking forward to 2 more games before lunch coming up pretty
Yeah,
soon.
if it keeps up like this, we're gonna have our work cut out as commentators.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll be back soon.
Stick around.